With me for a long time, and
Yes,
you're in
sir.
charge of the committee.
Indeed, one of the reasons I wanted to see it was the overruns of the expenses, wanted to figure out why.
So we're taking a look, and it looks like it's about 3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Yeah, it just came out.
Our notes had it about 3.1 as well.
3.1.
3.2.
This came from us?
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation.
So today is July 7th. I guess it's what time is it? Maybe 3 o'clock or something like that in the afternoon. Heading on up to Lord Baltimore Drive. They just had a major Medicare fraud bust about 2 weeks ago. 324 people got arrested, and they say they looking for somebody to come and tell. So I've been trying to tell for a while. I've been trying to tell. I want to tell before Congress. I want to tell before the Senate. I want to tell on everybody.
My name is Matthew Gagliotti, and I'm the head of the Justice Department's Criminal Division. Thank you all for joining us today as we announce the largest coordinated healthcare fraud takedown in the history of the Department of Justice. Today marks a decisive moment in our fight to protect American taxpayers from fraudsters and to defend the integrity of America's healthcare system. We are announcing today charges against 324 defendants for their alleged participation in healthcare fraud schemes involving approximately $14.6 billion in false claims submitted to Medicare, Medicaid, and other healthcare programs. Criminals didn't just steal someone else's money. They stole from you.
The first time I went there was during the Biden administration, and could you believe they say you can't come in there and report a crime? Could you believe that?
Not coming from right. That's what I'm saying. So what I need to do to get somebody from upstairs down here?
Well, call that number.
I called this number. If I call this number, go ahead.
Call that number. When you talk to somebody on that phone, ask them for a supervisor, because we can't ask them for a supervisor.
I'm gonna call them right now. I called the number last time.
Experiencing a mental health crisis or seeking mental health resources, press 1. In a few moments, you will be connected to an operator. This call will be recorded for quality assurance, investigative or other purposes. If you do not wish to be recorded, please press 1 to receive details on how to report electronically, and this call will then be disconnected. During this call, you will be asked to provide identifying information about yourself and or the persons about whom you are calling. These questions will ask for information regarding name, date of birth, telephone number, and address. For the best accuracy, please do not use speakerphone while providing this information. We use this information to assist in investigating your tip. You do not have to provide your name or other personal information. However, the lack of information may delay or hurt our ability to investigate your tip. Any information you can provide.
No, what we doing?
Just saying, another day at the FBI again. Can't get no help. Give me the same number again. Y'all know I got all the paperwork. Insurance fraud, Medicare fraud, Obama fraud, and protection by their own government. We'll unravel all this. I'll talk to y'all later.
It is. There you go. You know, generally I have not been doing stunts here, but, you know. And this used a filter. The need for us to go ahead and replace some of these pipes because ultimately you want a system in which you don't have to put a filter on it in order to be assured that it's safe.
First in the news now, the second day of the massive Kaiser Permanente strike is bringing the issue of staffing shortages in healthcare to the forefront. KTLA's Alina Abovian is live in Baldwin Park with the latest. Good morning, Alina.
Eric, good morning. And that's right, you said it, staffing shortages really is the #1 issue. Right here behind me, these are all the nurses that work at this hospital, and they are on strike this morning. This is day 2. Now I'd like to bring in Nataya Palacio. Nataya, you're an LVN. What's the message from all of you guys?
All we want is for Kaiser executives to come to the table and bargain in good faith. That's all we're asking for.
But they are bargaining, and they say they're bargaining in good faith. You've already reached some tentative agreements. That's according to a Kaiser rep. What is it that you guys want that's not being met?
If they had come to an agreement, we would not still be out here. We wouldn't be out here. We want them to stop outsourcing. We need more staffing so that we can provide quality patient care. We are out here for our patients. At the end of the day, it's about patient care and patient safety.
And talking about patients, we have 1,000 people here at this outside this hospital. So if you guys are out here, who's inside taking care of patients?
People who come from registry who do not know the Kaiser system and management.
And what has it been?
Historic settlement involving one of the biggest names in healthcare. Kaiser hospitals will pay tens of millions of dollars for illegally dumping biomedical waste and the medical records of patients into public landfills. NBC Bay Area's Robert Honda joins us from San Mateo County, which is one of the 3 local counties that started this investigation into Kaiser. Robert.
This has been a long, time-consuming, painstaking investigation to literally dig up the evidence against Kaiser for its illegal dumping. The road to this settlement started when district attorney offices in 6 California counties, including San Mateo, San Francisco, and Alameda County, began undercover operations after suspecting 16 Kaiser facilities were disposing of hazardous waste and patients' records into public landfills. Attorney General Rob Bonta bought the DOJ in and found the DAs were right.
If they don't follow the law, if they're careless with dangerous waste or sensitive information, the potential for harm is enormous and it's widespread.
Wearing equipment similar to this 2007 search, crews from the counties spent long hours looking for evidence.
Most people refer to it as dumpster diving. We call it waste inspections. There are a lot of dangers involved because, again, I talked about the pathogens that are basically in biohazardous waste, and so our people have to wear these respirators that you probably saw during the pandemic in hospitals.
Kaiser acknowledged the situation and says it has conducted its own investigations and cleanups, as well as having more employee training, which state officials confirm it has done. But local DAs are still watching.
And we will be monitoring as well to make sure that Kaiser stays on the right side of the law.
And hopefully this sends a clear message that we must do better to protect our environment, our communities, and the privacy of our patients in California.
While Kaiser's work is not done yet, it is now required to conduct 120 self-audits every year and report the findings to investigators so that no future dumpster diving will be necessary. In Redwood City, Robert Honda, NBC Bay Area News.
These are not isolated instances of poor judgment. These are calculated schemes designed to exploit Americans.
We are back in with some breaking news this morning on Live Now from Fox as we are continuing to follow the case against Luigi Mangione, who is accused of murdering United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Just getting a new statement in from Attorney General Pam Bondi, in which she is now asking for the death penalty against Mangione. Here is this full statement that I want to read to you on your screen right now. It says this: Luigi Mangione's murder of Brian Thompson, an innocent man and father of 2 children, was a premeditated, cold-blooded assassination that shocked America. After careful consideration, I have directed federal prosecutors to seek the death penalty in this case as we carry out President Trump's agenda to stop violent crime and make America safe again. This case coming out of New York City, of course, the charges spanning throughout several states. About 20 criminal charges in total against Mangione, and the latest there being the fact that Attorney General Bondi is seeking that death penalty. Now, Mangione, who is 26 years old, accused of murdering United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. That was back in December of 2024. He is facing a total of 20 criminal charges across New York, Pennsylvania, and in federal court. Those charges are divided into 3 separate cases. The New York one being the murder case, the federal charges that include terrorism, and a Pennsylvania case involving an unlicensed firearm, forgery, and false identification. One of the federal charges, which is murder with a firearm, could make him eligible for the death penalty if he is convicted. Mangione's federal case in New York has been scheduled for April 18th. So we just wanted to bring you that latest statement from the Attorney General. Now, as alleged, Luigi Mangione stalked and murdered Brian Thompson on December 4th of 2024. The murder was an act of political violence. This is in accordance with that press release in which we got that statement from the Attorney General. The press release goes on to say that Mangione's actions involved substantial planning and premeditation, and because the murder took place in public with bystanders nearby, may have posed grave risk of death to additional persons. Following federal murder charges handing down back on December 19th, the AG has directed acting U.S. Attorney Matthew Podolsky to seek the death penalty in this case. We'll continue to follow along and bring you all the latest updates as soon as we get them.
Madam Attorney General, yesterday, Erez Ruveni filed a whistleblower complaint against the Department of Justice. As I think you know, he was a 15-year veteran of the Department of Justice. He received commendations during the first Trump administration for all his work at DOJ, but he filed a detailed account of his recent experience at the Department of Justice, saying that prior to his determination, that he was terminated after he refused to sign an appeal brief that was unsupported by evidence or the law. And he says, I didn't sign up to lie. In response to his termination, you made a statement on Fox News a little while ago saying, at my direction, every Department of Justice attorney is required to zealously advocate on behalf of the United States, and that any attorney who fails to abide by this direction will face consequences. So, General Bondi, I guess the direct question is, he says he was fired because he didn't want to make an untruthful statement to a court of law. I have 2 questions. Number one, I assume you agree that zealous advocacy does not mean telling untruths to courts of law. And second, if that's not the case, what did you mean by saying he was not a zealous advocate?
Senator Van Hollen, this is all pending litigation, as you're well aware, and the timing of it, I can't discuss pending litigation. This is a whistleblower lawsuit.
President Trump, who met with El Salvador's president this week, made it clear he does not intend to seek the return of Abrego Garcia to the United States. Deportation without due process is at the center of the Abrego Garcia case. The administration claims he is an MS-13 gang member, something his family and his attorneys deny. Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen flew to El Salvador himself to try to get a meeting with the man whose family, including his wife, an American citizen, is still in Maryland, pushing for his return. First, authorities refused, but late Thursday, Senator Van Hollen was able to sit down with Abrego Garcia, who was not in his jail garb and not in the hellish Secot prison, but instead in plain clothes at a nearby hotel. While President Trump accused Van Hollen of defending a violent gang member, the senator says the issue goes far beyond the case of Abrego Garcia.
If you deny the constitutional rights of one man, you threaten the constitutional rights and due process for everyone else in America.
Yes. Asked them if they knew anything about the health of Abrego Garcia. They said they knew nothing about it.
Good morning. We'd like to provide an update on the oil spill in Baltimore City. And I first want to start by thanking those who were first on the scene, including the heroic actions of the Baltimore City Fire Department. And I also want to thank Johns Hopkins and the Maryland Department of Environment for their coordination. This is watching the coordination that we've seen here has not just been important, it's been incredibly impressive. And I'd also of the emergency crew, the emergency personnel from the City of Baltimore, from the state of Maryland, and also from the United States Coast Guard. This has been a robust effort that we've now seen 10 different city and state agencies that have been deployed. And we've mobilized assets from local, state, and also on the federal levels. And Mayor Scott and I were on site yesterday with our partners to manage and monitor the response efforts. And all the response teams have moved in close coordination with each other. And for that, we are deeply, deeply proud and grateful. Emergency personnel worked through the night to help contain the situation. We have seen over 100 personnel literally worked through the night to make sure that we had this situation under control and contained. And there's one thing I've learned about this team that I stand with, that I'm standing with here, is that also in the military, I learned that you develop a muscle memory with your unit. And I think all of us had that experience yesterday, where we were snapping into place and getting into work. And I'm grateful to have this team to my flank in this work. This is a team that has done hard things before. This is a challenging assignment, but this is also a team that in challenging assignments and challenging times does not flinch, and we are grateful. We know how to move fast, we know how to move together, and we know how to keep things under control. And the Coast Guard and their contract, the Coast Guard and the contractor are using oil absorbent materials and skimmers that feed into a 4,000-gallon pump truck. That also includes, in addition to the over 100 personnel who have worked through the night, that includes the fact that we have 3 skimmers out here, we have 6 vac trucks, we have 1,000 feet of sweep, and we have 600 feet of boom already deployed. And as of this morning, we have no evidence to suggest there is any impact on drinking water in the area. Now, despite that, I do want to be clear that we still have work to do.
News.
Hello, everybody. I'm Nikki Zizaza. Welcome to WJZ News at noon. We're staying on top of a breaking story we first reported last night. Thousands of gallons of diesel fuel spilled into the harbor between Fells Point and Harbor East. Our Alexis Davila is live in Harbor East, where cleanup efforts are still happening and state and city leaders just updated everyone. Alexis.
Hey, good morning. Yes, well, we are talking about that all day this morning. We had smelled that pungent fumes kind of smell from the fuel being poured right in here to this waterway. I will say progress-wise, I don't smell that as much. So we do know that crews are underway here making this cleanup effort, and you can take a look that they are still here today. We know that some of them were even working here overnight as well, about 100 personnel actually working out. But I do want to point out, around 9:30 yesterday morning, we learned that Johns Hopkins Hospital alerted the fuel spill. 2 diesel tanks from Johns Hopkins Hospital's third-party vendors overfilled and caused an overflow of diesel fuel. 2,000 gallons of fuel ended up spilling into Harbor East. Now, cleanup started yesterday, but the focus right now is to flush the water. The fire chief says they brought 3 skimmers to remove oil floating in the water, but now the goal is to open fire hydrants and flush the city storm drain system. Take a listen to what Mayor Brandon Scott and Governor Westmore had to say earlier this morning.
The Coast Guard and the contractor are using oil absorbent materials and skimmers that feed into a 4,000-gallon pump truck. That also includes, in addition to the over 100 personnel who have worked through the night,
there is no impact to drinking water, and we're doing everything that we can to mitigate any environmental impacts of the spill. And we are proud of the progress that was made overnight and over the recent years to improve the harbor. We have that at the front of our minds as everyone does this work today.
his questions have been answered to his satisfaction. The parties acknowledge that this is the...
Kind enough to swear, Mr. Cullen, at this point.
You do swear the testimony you give to the court in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please state your full name.
Charles Cullen. And you spell it C-U-L-L-E-N, is that correct? Yes. Good morning to you, Mr. Cullen. Good morning. During your first appearance on Wealth of Pennsylvania, is that your understanding as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
The New Jersey counties and the Pennsylvania counties agreed to work with their respective governor's office to permit you to be moved to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for purposes. Do you wish to plead guilty this morning?
Yes, Your Honor.
And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Mask, would you be kind enough to elicit a factual basis for the plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, may I ask one question?
Yes, you certainly may. Yes, Mr. This is going to take some time again. If you...
Did you inject Ms. Stoker with any medication?
Yes.
And was it your intent to cause her to expire?
Yes.
And what agent did you use to accomplish that intent?
Digoxin.
Okay. You had access to that patient at Somerset Medical?
Yes.
And you injected that patient?
Yes.
Without authorization?
Yes.
With the intent to cause death?
Yes.
And in fact, that patient died?
Yes.
And the agent employed by you was?
Digoxin.
Accordingly, the court accepts the plea of Mr. Cullen, and we will schedule the matter for sentencing in a manner that allows for the terms and conditions of the plea agreement to be carried out.
I'll get a copy of these forms and bring them to you. Your Honor?
Yes, and I was going to... Yes, Judge.
I'll get a copy of these.
Yes, why don't you come forward? We were just talking.
More than 60 years ago, Johns Hopkins researchers took cells from a cancer patient named Henrietta Lacks. If you don't know the story, you should. The cells fueled medical breakthroughs, but were used without her consent. Well, now her family has reached an agreement with the National Institutes of Health. And Terrell Brown reports on that story, and Terrell is with us. Good morning.
And Nora, good morning to you. Henrietta Lacks cells have been used in more than 74,000 studies for 6 decades. And she and her family were never asked for permission. They contain genetic information about the health of much of her family, and now they're getting a say in how those cells are used. In 1951, Henrietta Lacks came to Johns Hopkins Hospital with cervical cancer. While there, doctors removed some of her tumor cells and discovered they could thrive in a lab. It was something human cells had never done before.
This biopsy taken from Henrietta Lacks produced a cell line that would grow essentially forever and was immediately distributed all over the world.
Named HeLa cells after Lacks, they were used by Jonas Salk to discover the polio vaccine. They also aided research in cancer, AIDS, and diabetes. Dr. Francis Collins, director of the National Institutes of Health, says they've saved millions of lives.
This is everywhere.
But Lacks, poor and uneducated, died in the hospital, and the scientists took the cells without her consent. Her family's fight to control their use was chronicled in the New York Times bestseller, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, and is now being made into a movie by Oprah Winfrey.
The message for us was that my grandmother is not just a cell, she's a person.
And now 62 years later, the National Institutes of Health is giving them a say. Going forward, all research of the Lacks genome will be approved by a panel with 2 Lacks family members on it.
This is a first time in history for someone to consider the family.
Dr. Collins hopes the family story will trigger a shift in science towards privacy.
Let's say, may I? And let's be sure that we have the chance to explain what that is and give the person a chance to say yes or to say no.
The National Institutes of Health also said that in order to find a cure to some of these complex diseases like cancer, patients need to be comfortable providing the type of information that was taken from Henrietta Lacks. The family won't receive any financial gains from this new agreement.
This is such a fascinating story because it was taken without her consent. The family was not told about it. That obviously violates so many things. And yet, her cells and the growth of those saved millions of lives.
And so many breakthroughs over so many decades.
Yes, Henrietta Lacks going down in history. And I'm glad the family's reached an agreement. Terrell, thank you.
Sure.